just a little bit about me. I am the campus coordinator for Brook Hollow Elementary in Pflugerville, Texas. And I've been helping the UIL office with Capital Conference for, it feels like forever. And so Lisa approached me to do the UIL coordinator session today. And I'm a little bit nervous because of just, yeah, that was not supposed to have happened. So anyway, I'm gonna try to stop mumbling so much. So here we go. So I think the most important thing when you're talking about being a UIL coordinator is being organized. And even more than anything else, I think if you're organized and you have some kind of a system or a method, it's going to help with how easy things run. And then after a while of being in a position of being UIL coordinator, then you kind of, you just kind of keep, you're able to, hold on, I need to hide that. You need to keep, it'll help for later on. So anyway, so organization, yay, it's working. Okay, so here's a quote from Mr. Ben Franklin that I found, and I'm sure everyone has heard this before. I know I have. For every minute spent in organizing is an hour earned. And that's definitely true with UIL coordinating. If your files are organized and you know where everything is and you know who's doing what and you have all of your little ducks in a row, it really, really does help. So here we go. Okay, so I think the first thing you need to do, or that should be done, especially if you're new to coordinating, is to talk to the previous coordinator if they're available, and talk to your administrators, other teachers, parents, just to find out what has been happening with the program, especially if you're new. If you are if you held this position last year, well, this goes without saying. Talk to your coaches. I'll talk a little bit more about this during recruiting. Make sure that you talk to the people, even the kids. Ask them, hey, who was the chess coach last year, especially if you can't get any information from anyone else. So this is so weird not having, I feel like I'm talking to myself. Anyway, next. So some more information. If you're new to coordinating, you need to find out who has coached what event in the past. I think it's important also to know, or to have, hopefully there's records somewhere, how many students have placed, what they've placed in, how long have these coaches been coaching the event that they're coaching? Are they experienced? Are they novice coaches? And the other thing you need to find out is, where are the UIL study materials located? And I have a little bit of information on materials later on, but these things, every time I've come into a new school, I always wind up being given the UIL program, and then I have to do all of this. So I kind of feel like, oh geez, I kind of have this little system going, and it's helped actually. Okay, next thing in being organized is write down your dates. Whether you use a virtual calendar or a digital calendar, or if you're like me and you have to write things down to remember them or type them, make sure you write down your dates. I think the most important date right when we get back to school is your district meeting. There should be a meeting that coordinators attend to discuss the district meet. Now, if you're in a small school district, that might be the portion of the DEC committee, the district executive committee. So usually the superintendent, if it's a small school district, superintendents will show up, the coordinators will show up, coaches will show up, and it's important that you know who that person is that you need to contact so that you can be at this meeting. So small school districts, find out who this, ask your superintendent, who is the DEC chairman and when is this meeting, because they will have that information, and then write it down. Also, in your general calendar, write down deadlines for enrollments, for when you're going to do team cuts, or when you're going to send out parent communication. That is really important for, well, just all of that stuff, just to have these dates, um, have these dates in your head. And at least personally for me is the names deadline. This names thing is like the bane of my UIL existence. Trying to get all of the names together, and even with Google, Google, they can, coaches can go in and individually put in their names. It's still, this is one of the things that just gives me the most anxiety, because I personally have messed this up so many times. Coaches have messed this up, and it's just one of those things. It's very, very easy to mess up, I think. So make sure your coaches know what the date is. I would give them a couple of days before that date so they can submit the names to you. And then you also need to know, well, how am I supposed to input, and where does this information go, and what do I have to do? So important to organization for sure. Here's a copy of my Toodledo. Toodledo is a task organization online thing that I discovered at an organization session for band directors of all things. And it's really, I'm trying to hide this virtual meeting control. Okay. It's really great because Toodledo and any kind of task software or online cloud-based thing will allow you to put things on recurring. So for example, all of these things are all recur yearly. And notice I put high priority. That's not the highest, 3 is the highest. But the UIL permission slip, the cool thing about Toodledo is that I can, I have the file right here, and this is just a screenshot, but I can click on this paper clip and it will bring up the file of the after school permission slip. So I can go in and edit what I need to edit dates and contact, coaches or whatever. And I can send it out. This has made things very, very easy, because this is all stuff that needs to happen on a regular yearly basis. Have principals sign and coaches sign certificates. I have this for March 3rd. Yeah, that didn't quite get done this year the way it should have, but oh well. Let's see. So that's Toodledo. I've also started trying to get used to doing a different online task software called Click It. I saw an advertisement. I thought, hey, maybe this could work. I still have my Toodledo subscription though, just in case I can't get that one to function the way I need it to function. But if you're looking for something Toodledo, Todoist, let's see, there's all sorts of things to help with your tasks, all tasks. Okay, so another thing about being organized is knowing what the district meet duties are for you, your students, your school. So the most important thing, I think, is eligibility. In A+, because we are trying to get participation with students, and we can change not the rules, but we can change who participates, and we can change all of these like little nuanced things that varsity can't do. So but one of the things that is across the board is eligibility. You have got to check the eligibility of your UIL contestants, whether they need to be eligible, because it's a contest. So in this case, it's a contest. So make sure that they are eligible. If you click on this link, and I'll make this presentation available so that you can have this information, but you can click here for the CNCR, and the CNCR is the UIL contest, and UIL Constitution and Contest Rules. So clicking here will take you straight to eligibility. Here's the district meet names again. Again, it is the bane of my existence. Make sure you know what the expectation is for turning these in. Some school districts are still doing it the old-fashioned way, where you have to write them down on the form at the back of the A+ manual, and it has to be signed by your administrator. So if that's the expectation, then you need to know with enough time to get all of that stuff together. My district, I'm not the district coordinator. My district does everything through Google now. So that makes it really easy. The thing that makes it hard is that I have to go in to a spreadsheet and look at the bottom of the spreadsheet and, okay, chess goes here, ready writing goes here for 5th grade, ready writing. You know, it's kind of an interesting thing. So just make sure you know what those expectations are. Go slow. Another district meet duty that I think is, that I know is super important, is parent communication. Whatever field trip form your school or your district has you fill out for parents for field trips, make sure you have that ready to go. Have an itinerary ready for your parents also. Parents nowadays, wasn't like this when I was in school, that's for sure. My parents never went to a single UIL meet. But I grew up in the Valley, and that's just the way things are. So, or were back in 1985 or so. Send that field trip form, send the itinerary, send the expectations for meals, send the information for the concession stand, how much things cost, so kids can have money. Send a map also to where you're going to be, because some parents, they do like to follow and they want to be there with their kids. So if you make all of that information available to them in a packet or virtually somehow with, sending them, all of this information via email, whatever your format is to do that, make sure your parents are kept informed, especially for the district meet dates, because that's kind of like the whole reason we do what we do is district meet. Okay, boy, this is going quick. Material organization. So this is a really big deal for me personally, because one of the things that I've managed to do is digitize materials. So I think the first thing is there are still materials that you hand out to people. For example, I have social studies materials that once we get a social studies coach, I'll be able to give those to her or him, but they will have to return those books back to me. Well, how am I going to ensure that those get back to me? Well, one way is you can get with your librarian about putting a library code on those materials so that those coaches can be accountable through the librarian to make sure that those get turned in. The other thing you can do is end of the year checkout. You can make sure that it's on the checkout form so that those little story cubes for creative writing get back to you, especially if you were the one that paid for the story cubes. You really want those back. So these are a couple of ways that you can certainly be accountable or make sure that coaches are accountable for all of the materials. The other thing, like I mentioned, is digitizing materials. Let me see if I'm still sharing. Yes, I'm still sharing my screen. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. Nope, come this way. Whoops. Okay. What did I do? Ah, there's present. Well, it looks like I can't, but I have all of my materials, pardon me, organized in Dropbox, and I have them organized by event. That's the beauty of being able to, oh, ta-da! Please move this window away from the shared application. No, I don't want to do that. So let me see if I can get in here to show y'all. So here's that. And here's UIL, UIL materials, UIL scans. And here are all of the materials that I have for all of the events. So for example, the A+ study booklet, I have 2 years. I actually have more. They're just in a different spot. I would scan that study booklet every year. Now it's all digitized, so it's really easy to import. Um, Another thing that I have under chess puzzle is a bunch of different things. I have some Capital Conference information in this folder. I have tests. I have sample tests that we've done at school. Let's see, what's another one? Number sense. Number sense has a lot of stuff. Elementary skills. All just everything that I could possibly have. I mean, it's all digitized. I When I started digitizing materials, I didn't realize how grateful I would later be for this. At my previous school district, or my previous charter school, actually, we had purchased a math book that must have been about $80 out of our budget, and it was specifically for number sense and mathematics. And I think it had some calculator also. Well, before I gave that book to the coach, I made sure that I digitized that book just in case something happened and I didn't get the book back. Well, you can guess what happened. I didn't get the book back. But that school has a digital copy of that book because that book was purchased. So, we're not going to sell it. We're not going to do anything like that, but it's good to have a backup of the materials that that you have. So anyway, I'm sorry. I hear my dog crying and I wonder if she needs to be let out. Hold on just a second. In any case, okay, I'm gonna hurry because the technical difficulties. Communicate. Parent communication is really, really important. However you organize your parent communication. Now through Skyward, our district recently moved to Skyward, we can mass email people. And that has been the nicest thing ever, because then it's not a matter of whether the parents are on the school listserv, because for listserv, you have to subscribe to that email. With this, I can email blast the whole school if I want. So however you decide to organize your information, or send out your information, just know that that is available. So check with your district tech people to see if whether you use Skyward or Text Connect or whatever you use, to see if that kind of communication is a possibility. If you choose not to do your initial communication with parents via an email, you can also send a note home with kids, their take-home folders. So in this note, I include a description of events, of coaches, of grade levels, and it says here to get a sample of the note. Let me see if it will come up. Yeah, ta-da! It did. It came up. So this is a PDF, and I send this out usually on my listserv, or digitally, and I also do print just in case. So this is what our UIL looked like for this past year. So if you would like a copy of this, like a copyable copy, I'll be more than happy to provide that. So I don't know, but okay. Hello. Whoops. Oh, so there's a sample note that's linked, and you can download. It's a PDF. So but nowadays you can convert PDFs like pretty easily online now. It's amazing. You don't need software or anything. That's really great. So recruiting, this is probably the next big thing, I think, for UIL. The success, I found another quote. The success of an organization will depend on the people you surround yourself with. That's Donald Rumsfeld. And that's true because I know just different teams that I've led for different things, the people you surround yourself with. I mean, if you don't have to agree necessarily with everything that, like all together, but you do have to be like-minded. And it's important that all of you are going toward that same goal as a team, whatever that is. And the more positive people, or the more, I guess, invested people that you have, and if you can help get them invested by, your craziness and your love for the program, for UIL academics, it's it's a good thing to surround yourself with good people. So, yeah, I'll tell you guys a story after. Okay, recruiting coaches. So, find out if the teachers who coached last year are willing to do it again, because some people aren't. This last year, we had turnover at my school, and in this turnover, we lost the Ready Writing creative writing coach, we lost the storytelling coach, and even though the oral reading coach didn't actually leave the campus, she said, Nancy, I really don't want to do it, even though there's a stipend. I just don't. Okay, then. So I became the oral reading coach, and Ready Writing, I don't even remember if Ready Writing had a coach. I'm sure they did. I know creative writing did. So we also had some good storytelling coach. So that actually worked out okay. What I would also do, just as a coordinator, is write down a job description of what a UIL coach is going to be expected to do. My district has already, because we get stipends for coaching from the district, not from our campus now, which, yay, I'm so excited about that. The district includes what those things need to be. Like, we have to coach at least once a week. We have to start, with enough time. We have to know the rules. We have to know all of that stuff. So all of that gets put, and it's from our district. So that's awesome. That's cool. So if this is not done at a district level and you are the it person, I recommend you do this, because then that way coaches don't think that this takes an inordinate amount of time, because it really doesn't. Once a week for 45 minutes is not a lot of time. However, there are schools who have this as part of their daily enrichment, their daily rotation stuff. So, just something to keep in mind, I guess. Student recruitment. Okay, so this is a picture of my open enrollment. And I do open enrollment because UIL is skills-based. Students can be trained to do a UIL event with enough time. I think, and here's just an example. When I was in 4th grade, that year for UIL meets, the teacher selected you for events that she thought would be a good fit for you. So I wasn't chosen for anything. So then came 5th grade. Well, in 5th grade, they had an open enrollment policy where you could sign up. I signed up for Ready Writing, and they took us through the 5-paragraph form of an essay, how to persuade, how to do an expository essay, so I learned all of this. Well, it's a skill. It's a skill that follows you throughout your life. And so that year I placed in 2 invitational meets, and I placed 4th at district for Ready Writing. So students can be trained. They don't have to be naturally talented. Now, is it easier to pick the GT kid who's brilliant at math to do number sense? Well, sure it is. But there are other kids there who um, maybe just need the encouragement that they can do it. And UIL is perfect, perfect for these kids. Events like music memory and listening skills that don't require a lot of like fact, like in the brain kind of factual things that use that listening side of the brain more um, are perfect. They're just so perfect for students. Um, oh, wait, back. Previous, yeah. Also, open enrollment. It's so funny. Today, I received an email from a former student, and first of all, I'm not even at the school where I taught the student, and he was neither at the school at the school where we both were at the time that I was his teacher. And one of the things that he mentioned was UIL and what an impact UIL music memory had on his life. Music memory of all things. He placed first in music memory, and he was so excited. Um, he said that UIL followed him all, or he was in UIL. And I was his choir director in 5th and 6th grade, and also followed him. He also was a choir president and his 8th grade year, and um, went to a different high school, joined the varsity choir, went to UIL, and they earned a sweepstakes trophy. And he said, "Oh yes, and I also decided to join UIL literary criticism." And we would have gone really, really far had COVID-19 not happened, because they were on their way to state, or they were headed that way. And that's the thing about recruiting students, is that um, they might, you never know what value this will have in their life. And that particular letter was like, oh, that's so great. But also just goes to show that if you are passionate, because if there's anything I am about UIL is passionate, because it made such a difference in my life that I try the best I can to translate that to students so that they understand that, guys, yes, you can do number sense. You might have to work a little bit to understand how to do everything, but it is possible. Um, the Another student example, and I like student anecdotes. I'm going to stop here after this anecdote. Um, there was a student, a former student, who every year would sign up to do oral reading, and she would always miss it by one to get on the team, the four on the team. Um, and she always wanted to do it, always wanted to do it. And when she became a 6th grader, I was the impromptu speaking coach at the time, and I told her, "Well, hun, why don't you try impromptu speaking? I will have you know that this girl placed first in impromptu speaking at district, her 6th grade year, her 7th grade year, her 8th grade year. I was not her coach, placed first there too. And I know she went on in high school to do other UIL events. So don't, depending on how you do your student recruitment, I'm an advocate for open enrollment. So, but at the same time, you know that there are some events like, say, maps, graphs, and charts. Students aren't like gung ho signing up for that one. You might have to go out and recruit a student to do that event. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with a teacher going and asking a student, "Hey, would you consider joining this event?" I know my number sense coach at Brook Hollow, she has to do that, because when the kids find out what they have to do with mental math and how it all works, they're like, "Oh, I'm not doing that." They automatically get really scared until they realize that it's skills based, and you know, then that's it. So, oh, wait a minute. Hey, I had like some stuff. Oh, I must have copied it wrong. I'm sorry with all of this craziness. Um, it's not on here yet, but with everything going on, if you have to have virtual meetings with students, I recommend that you keep them short, 15, 20 minutes, concentrate on one skill, um, or one thing for that particular session. Um, and I do have slides on this. I guess they're just not in here. Also, try to find online resources to supplement. Um, and I would encourage you to continue coming back to Capitol Conference and seeing what the state directors have and have available as far as um, online resources goes. Because it would be very simple to create a one-page Google site with with virtual links for everything. So just some stuff to consider, um, over over this strange time. So okay, 11:41. I promise that's it. Hello? Yes? Oh, well,
Hi, Nancy.
hey.
Hi. So I'm going to get on for just a moment. What I've done is I've compiled the questions as you were presenting so that we can take a look at those. What I'm going to do is actually share my screen where I've typed them up so everybody can see the questions and we can take a look to see what you are saying. So
Awesome.
let me see how I do that. Let's see, not that one. Here. All right, can everybody see these questions? My Word document, I'm gonna make it bigger. Are you able to see this, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Question number 1 says, what is the name of the organizer that I use? Well, I use Toodledo, and so it's toodledo.com. The subscriptions, they used to be yearly, they're not anymore. They do monthly now, and I think it's like $5. The cool thing about Toodledo, if you are a list maker, it does all of the list, it keeps a list. If you are visual, which I that's why I have to write things down, because then I can see where everything fits. I mean, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. I've used it forever, and it is my backup. But I am trying to use something else. It's called Click It, but there is a little bit of a learning curve with that one. But Toodledo works great. I love it. Um,
Yeah, so we had some people who are, wanting to access the PowerPoint. For some of us, it was kind of fuzzy trying to see the text on it. So for
okay.
anybody who would like an actual copy of Nancy's PowerPoint, that's the link where you would go, where I'm going to post the PowerPoint. I also put this link in the chat. So if you would like to click on that link, that's where any of the handouts for Capitol Conference are going to be posted. In addition, we've had some people who are in need of the sign-in sheet for attendance, and you're also going to have access to that sign-in sheet there. Basically, for any of the sessions that you attend, if you attend the live version of the session, download that document, type in the information of the session that you attended, and then following Capitol Conference, once it's over at the end of July, then we will send you a certificate. So that's how you're going to go about doing attendance. You're also going to see a link for evaluations for the sessions. So the evaluation and your attendance and the handouts are all going to be accessible via that link if you happen to have not received the reminder email for attending the conference. So that's where you are going to access that. The third question, so during the part where you were talking about how you organize your files,
Mm-hmm.
I believe you were talking about how you organize them using Box.
Dropbox, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so we were just unable to see that part of the screen. We were able to listen to you and understand kind of what was going on, but I didn't know, Nancy, would you mind possibly taking a picture of how you organize it? And then I
Sure.
can include that as part of your presentation so we can see a visual
Sure.
about what you were saying. That would be great.
Oh, sure. Yes, I kind of forget how the Zoom thing works. So um, the screen share. Oh, the way I organize everything is by event. So I have some materials and some coaches things for CX debate when I was an academic coordinator for a K to 12 campus. So you'll see that there, and the things that are in there are things like the rules and other PowerPoint presentations also from Capitol Conference, because you can go and download all of those, presentations. And so every time there's a new presentation, I go through and I look to see what's available and what other presenters have done, and I'll put that in the file for the coaches, for my coaches, because then they have another resource that they can look at, and the other thing too, um, with that, just keeping everything organized. Sometimes, like especially for the A plus study booklet, and also for the A plus manual. I try to have those organized by year, because it has everything. The study booklet will have everything, or the study packet, and the the A plus handbook is also by year. So I like to keep those by year, but everything else is, pretty much by event. So, oh, my form said no coach for a few ready writing contests. What did you do if students wanted to compete? Honestly, this year coordinating was a little bit more challenging. We were in the middle of, or I was in the middle of producing and directing a musical during the time of UIL. So trying to find a writing coach, unfortunately, was not one of my main priorities at the time. So I don't think we took anybody for ready writing this year. We did for creative writing, and we had a student place, but this year I can honestly say I did not spend as much recruiting time with students, or trying to get them recruited, and also recruiting coaches. Um, it was a very interesting year. It's really, really, really important that you have buy-in from your administration, from your principal. If your principal is not going to support it 100%, whatever that looks like to your principal, heck, even 50%, okay, it's going to be really hard, because you're pretty much fighting against the tide. You're going against the current. And so, like this year, one of the things my principal mentioned was, well, I'm not going to require teachers to do UIL this year. Oh, okay. So then what am I supposed to do for these kids that want to do this? It's like, well, teachers are busy right now doing other things. Okay, well, we're not going to bring home a trophy then, because we don't have coaches to fill everything. I wound up filling the oral reading position, and my intention was to be the ready writing coach. Only I ran out of days of the week when I could do that, because I had to do that after school. So therein lies the issue. So unfortunately, those kids didn't get to compete this year, but I plan to change that for next year. So I had a very similar open enrollment as yours, direct recruitment and other teacher suggestions. Do you have any other strategies to get more kids to participate? In my school, we recently started, well, this last year, we piloted the Ron Clark house system, which works very much like Harry Potter and, the different, Gryffindor house and all of those houses, and they get points and they get points taken away. Well, we started that this year with our school, modeled after the Ron Clark Academy. And that for us worked so, that whole system worked really well, motivating students to just to do different things around the school. UIL was not one of the things that was on that list, but I suggest it will be for this next year because I am on that committee for that little program. And the way I would probably do that is, okay, if you are in Altruismo House and you go to UIL practice, your house will get a point, or will get 2 points. If you go to the district meet, which they should go to the district meet if they're part of the team, your house gets 5 points. If you place, your house gets 10 points. And so things like those kind of external things maybe might help. Also, kids are great for, they love to party. I mean, we all do. And I mean, hold that over their heads. Hey, you join UIL at the end when everything's finished, there's a huge party. And at this party, we play games and we stay after school for an hour, or or you go to main event, or you go do something together as the whole UIL team that isn't necessarily about the academic contest, but that's a hangout thing for them. They would love that. They would eat that up. Any other gimmicks or things? Any other like school incentives that your school has? I know we also have Bobcat Bucks, something about a store. I don't know. I don't tend to follow that one very much. Miss Garza, are you going to give us Bobcat Bucks? No, just get in line. You're supposed to do that anyway. I'm not going to give you $1 for that. A Bobcat dollar. But that's probably what I would do. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're bribing them. Bribe them with the party, bribe them with, hey, I'll give you a piece of candy if you come. Oh, I did that one year with my music memory teams. Was maybe 3 years ago. They were kind of like, they would skip practice. And I think one day I gave out some Halloween candy that was, just old Halloween candy. And boy, that next week I had a whole lot more students, let me tell you. I only gave them two Jolly Ranchers. 2 Jolly Ranchers. I mean, good grief. That's not, I can afford a Jolly Rancher, okay, to get kids to come, Paul said, by any means, win some. That's definitely true for UIL and for recruiting. So those are my ideas.
Great, thank you. I don't see any more questions right now, and it looks like we're just about out of time. So let me just do a quick reminder. Again, if you are in need of the attendance form, and then also where you're going to go to access Nancy's handouts and her presentation, that is going to be the link that you're going to need. If you need anything else, so I'm Lisa Parker. Email address is lparker@uiltexas.org. I'm happy to help you. Really important, Nancy. Thank you so much for the time that you did and preparing and presenting today. I always love to see your passion and sharing your ideas. It's incredibly helpful. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of the people who took time to see this session.